The morning sun rose over Avalon 7 like it always did. Golden light touched the endless wheat fields. Children ran to school. Farmers checked their crops. It was a simple colony home to 840,000 humans, who wanted nothing more than peaceful lives among the stars. Park Hannah was in her underground greenhouse that morning. She was a scientist who studied alien plants. Her work kept her beneath the surface, surrounded by soil samples and growing things. She did not know that this simple fact would save her life. At exactly 9:47 a.m., the sky turned dark. Massive ships blocked the sun. They were Velthari warships, each one larger than a city. The Velthari Empire had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They followed an ancient code called the Accord of Blades. War was sacred to them. It had rules. Enemies would meet on open fields. They would fight with honor. Civilians were never touched. The Velthari had sent humanity a formal challenge 3 months ago. They demanded that Earth bow to their empire or face them in honorable combat. Earth had ignored them. The humans had no great fleet. They had no warrior tradition. They simply continued living their lives, hoping the aliens would lose interest. This was a terrible mistake. Hi. Commander Torek stood on his flagship and looked down at the colony. He was old and proud. He had won 43 honorable battles in his long life. When he sent the challenge to humanity, he expected them to gather their armies. He expected them to meet his warriors on the field. Instead, they sent nothing. No army, no response. Just silence. In Velthari culture, this was the greatest insult. To ignore a challenge meant you were not just weak. You were not worthy of existence. Torek activated his communication system. His voice echoed across the entire colony. Humans of this world. The Velthari Empire has offered you honorable battle. You have refused. You have shown cowardice. By the laws of the Accord of Blades, you are now subject to dishonor protocol. May your silence be your grave. The bombardment began. Park Hannah felt the ground shake. Her lights flickered. She heard distant thunder that would not stop. She ran to her communication panel and tried to contact the surface. There was only static and screaming. For 47 minutes, the Velthari ships rained fire on Avalon 7. They destroyed homes, schools, hospitals, and farms. They killed everyone they could find. Men, women, children, elderly. The Velthari warriors did not see them as innocents. They saw them as members of a coward species. Such beings did not deserve mercy. When the thunder finally stopped, Park Hannah opened her greenhouse door. Smoke filled the air. She climbed to the surface and saw hell. The wheat fields were ash. The town was rubble. Bodies lay everywhere. She found a little girl still holding a school bag. She found an old man who had died protecting his wife. She found families who had tried to run and families who had tried to hide. None of it mattered. They were all dead. Park Hannah fell to her knees and screamed. She spent the next 3 days gathering survivors. There were only 214 people left from a colony of 840,000. They hid in her underground greenhouse, afraid the Velthari would return. Park Hannah recorded everything on her neural implant. Everybody. Every name she could find. Every face frozen in fear. On the 3rd day, ships appeared in the sky again. But these ships were different. They carried the flag of Earth. Admiral Kim Tae-ho had received the distress signal too late. His fleet was stationed 12 systems away. He pushed his ships beyond their limits to reach Avalon 7. When he finally arrived, he hoped he would find survivors fighting back. He hoped he would find resistance. Instead, he found silence. He walked through the ruined streets alone. His boots left prints in the ash. The wind carried whispers of death. He had served in the military for 30 years. He had seen combat. He had seen loss. But he had never seen anything like this. Park Hannah found him standing in what used to be the town square. She was covered in dirt and dried tears. Her eyes were empty. "Admiral," she said, "I have recordings. I documented everything. The whole galaxy needs to see what they did. Kim Tae-ho looked at her. His face was calm, but his hands were shaking. Show me, he said. She transferred the files to his implant. He watched all of it. Every minute of the massacre. The Velthory announcement. The bombardment. The aftermath. When it was finished, he stood very still for a long time. They called us cowards, Parkana said. They said we refused honorable battle. We are farmers, Admiral. We grow food. We raise children. We never wanted to fight anyone. Kim Tae-ho looked up at the sky. The Velthory ships were long gone. They had done their work and left, believing the lesson was complete. They expected humanity to surrender now. They expected fear. They want honorable battle, Kim Tae-ho said quietly. His voice was calm, but something cold had entered his eyes. They have rules, codes, ancient traditions. Yes, Park Hannah said. The Admiral turned to her. For the first time, she saw something in his face that frightened her. It was not anger. Anger was hot and wild. This was different. This was ice. We will not give them honorable battle, he said. We will give them something else entirely. Something they have never faced. Something that will make them wish they had never heard the name humanity. Park Hannah stared at him. What will you do? Kim Tae-ho looked back at the ashes of the colony. At the bodies still unburied. At the ruins of a peaceful world that had never asked for war. Whatever it takes, he said. And I will make sure they remember Avalon 7 for the next 10,000 years. He walked back to his ship. Behind him, the wind blew through the dead fields, carrying the ashes of 812,000. Innocent souls toward the uncaring stars. The Velthory wanted war. They were about to learn that humanity did not play by anyone's rules but their own. The Great Hall in Geneva was silent. 200 representatives from every nation on Earth sat in their seats. Their faces were pale. On the massive screen before them, the recordings from Avalon 7 played for the 5th time. Secretary. General Oh Seung-min watched the footage with empty eyes. He had seen it many times now. He had memorized every scream, every explosion, every body. He would never forget them. The galaxy was watching. Earth, every alien species with communication technology, had their eyes on humanity. They expected one of two things. Either Earth would surrender and accept Velthory rule, or Earth would formally declare war according to the Accord of Blades. Earth did neither. For 2 weeks, humanity said nothing. The Velthory grew impatient. They sent a representative to Earth to demand an answer. His name was High Commander Torek, the same commander who had ordered the massacre. Torek entered the Great Hall with 4 guards. He was tall and covered in ceremonial armor. His species had gray skin and 4 eyes that moved independently. He looked at the human representatives like they were insects. People of Earth, Torek announced, you have been given time to grieve. This is a mercy we do not usually offer. Now you must choose. Submit to the Velthory Empire and accept our rule, or declare war according to the Accord of Blades. There is no other option. Secretary General Oh Seung-min stood slowly. He was an old man with white hair and tired eyes, but his voice was steady. High Commander Torek, he said, before we give our answer, I have a question. No. Torek tilted his head. Ask your Accord of Blades. Your honorable warfare. It says that civilians are protected, that only soldiers fight soldiers. Is this correct? It is, Torek said proudly. We are not savages. We do not kill the innocent. Then explain to me. Oh, Seung-min said, why you murdered 812,000 farmers. Explain why you killed children in their schools. Explain why you burned hospitals full of sick people. Torek waved his hand dismissively. Your colony refused to answer our challenge. They showed cowardice. The dishonor protocol states that cowards have no innocence. Every member of a coward species shares their shame. Farmers, Oh Seung-min repeated. Children. The elderly. You called them cowards because they did not have armies to fight you. Your species had ships. Your species had weapons. You chose not to send them. This is cowardice. Oh Seung-min was quiet for a moment. Then he looked at Torek with eyes that had lost all warmth. "I see," he said. "So you made rules that only benefit you. You are strong, so you demand open battle. We are weak, so we must die. This is your honor. It is the way of the galaxy," Torek said. "It has been the way for 10,000 years. Then the way of the galaxy is wrong." Atric laughed. "You cannot change the way of things, human. You are small. You are young. You have no great fleet, no warrior tradition. What can you possibly do against our empire?" Secretary General Oh Seung-min pressed a button on his podium. The screen changed. It showed a map of the galaxy with the Velthari Empire marked in red. "High Commander Turek," he said, "you asked us to choose. Surrender or declare war. We choose neither." Torek frowned. "That is not an option. It is now." Seung-min stepped forward. "You killed 812,000 of our people because they did not play your game. You want rules? There are no more rules. You want a declaration? There will be no declaration. You want open battle? You will never see one. Then what will you do?" Torek asked with amusement. "Hide, run." "Oh," Seung-min smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "We will make you regret the day you heard the word human. We will tear your empire apart piece by piece. We will strike from shadows you do not know exist. We will poison your wells, burn your crops, and turn your allies against you. And when you beg for mercy, we will remember every child you killed on Avalon 7. Torek laughed again. Big words from a small species. General Choi Do-yeon stood from his seat. He was the director of Terran Special Operations, a man who had spent his entire life preparing for threats that might never come. Now they had come. "High Commander," Choi Do-yeon said. "For 200 years, humanity has explored the galaxy. We traded with everyone. We made friends with everyone. But we also watched. We studied. We learned every secret, every weakness, every fear of every species we met, including yours." He pressed a button. "We call it Project Spectre. It was our contingency plan in case the galaxy turned against us. We have agents on 40 Velthari worlds. We have weapons you have never imagined. We have plans for every possible scenario." Torek's smile faded slightly. "You are bluffing." "Am I?" Choi Do-yeon looked at his watch. "Your flagship is currently in orbit above Earth. It has 4,000 crew members. You landed here 3 hours ago, so check your communications." Torek's 4 eyes narrowed. He activated his personal communicator. There was only static. He tried again. Nothing. "What have you done?" He demanded. Secretary General Oh Seung-min walked toward him. "No declaration. No warning. No honor. That is how we fight now. You taught us this lesson, Torek. You taught us that honor is just a word the strong use to control the weak." Torek backed away. His guards raised their weapons. "This is madness," he said. "You cannot." The ceiling shook. Through the windows, everyone saw a bright flash in the sky. Torek's flagship, the pride of the Velthari fleet, exploded in orbit. 4,000 Velthari died without ever knowing they were in danger. Torek stared at the sky with all 4 eyes. His hands were shaking. "You," he whispered. "You attacked without warning, without declaration. This is against every law of civilized warfare." Oh Seung-min stood very close to him now. His voice was soft but terrifying. "Killed our children, Torek. You murdered innocents and called it justice. You broke the rules first. Now, there are no rules at all." He turned to the guards. "Escort the High Commander to a holding cell. He will be returned to his people when we decide he is useful." As Torek was dragged away, he shouted back at them. "The Empire will destroy you. Every human world will burn. You have signed your death warrant." Oh Seung-min did not look back. He returned to his podium and faced the representatives of Earth. "Today, we enter a new age," he said. "The galaxy believes we are weak. They are wrong. We are not warriors. We are survivors. And survivors do not fight fair." He looked up at the stars through the shattered windows. "No more honorable battle. From this day forward, we fight our way, and heaven help anyone who stands against us." The representatives rose to their feet. There was no applause. There was only cold, determined silence. The galaxy had created a monster. Now it would have to face the consequences. 6 months had passed since the massacre on Avalon 7. The Velthari Empire waited for war. They gathered their fleets. They trained their warriors. They prepared for the great battle that would crush humanity forever. The battle never came. Instead, something worse arrived. The humans called it the Ghost War. Captain Bikayanwu was the leader of Ghost, Squadron 7. He was a small man with a quiet voice and forgettable face. This was why he was perfect for his job. He could walk through a crowd and no one would remember him. Tonight, he was on Kordax Prime, a Velthari industrial moon. Factories here produced weapons for the Empire's fleet. 20 million workers lived underground, digging metals from the rock. Bikayanwu and his team of 12 had been on this moon for 3 weeks. They wore stolen Velthari clothing. They spoke the Velthari language perfectly. They ate Velthari food and followed Velthari customs. No one suspected them. Target confirmed, whispered Specialist Yun Bai through the communication implant. She was the team's expert in psychological warfare. Water treatment facility number 7. No guards. Move, Bikayanwu ordered. They slipped through the shadows like ghosts. Within 20 minutes, they had placed small devices in the main water supply. The devices contained a special chemical. It would not kill anyone directly. It would simply make the water taste terrible and cause mild sickness. But that was not the real weapon. The real weapon was fear. As they finished their work, Engineer Shinhanzal activated another device. Suddenly, every screen on Korthax Prime flickered. The normal broadcasts disappeared. Instead, the recordings from Avalon 7 began to play. The screams of human children, the explosions. The bodies of voice spoke over the footage. It was calm and cold. People of Korthax Prime, your empire murdered 812,000 innocent. Humans, farmers, children, the elderly. They died because your leaders called them cowards. Now your water is poison. Your food will rot. Your factories will fail. This is not war. This is justice. Remember Avalon 7? The message played on repeat for 6 hours before Velthari technicians could stop it, across the Empire. Similar attacks happened. Human teams appeared from nowhere. They destroyed supply lines. They contaminated food stores. They collapsed mines. They did not attack military targets. They attacked the foundations of everyday life. Admiral Selvik was the new commander of the Velthari fleet. He had replaced Torik, who was still a prisoner on Earth. Selvik was younger and smarter than his predecessor. He understood that something terrible was happening. Report, he demanded at the War Council. His officers looked afraid. This was unusual. Velthari warriors were trained to fear nothing. Sir, one officer said, in the past 6 months, we have lost 43 supply stations. 17 mining operations have been sabotaged. Food production across 12 worlds has dropped by 60%. And enemy casualties? The officer hesitated. None confirmed, sir. We have never engaged a human soldier in battle. Selvik slammed his fist on the table. Then where are they? How are they doing this? No one had an answer. The psychological attacks were even worse. Specialist Yun Bai had created programs that sent messages to individual Velthari soldiers. The messages appeared to come from dead comrades. They said things like, "Why did you let me die? Why did you follow orders? The humans know what you did. They are coming for you." Soldiers began to distrust each other. Rumors spread that human spies were everywhere. Some Velthari commanders accused each other of being traitors. Units that had fought together for decades now pointed weapons at each other. Engineer Shinhanzol created something even more terrible. He designed nanoweapons, tiny machines smaller than dust. These machines were programmed to target Velthari genetics. When released into farm fields, they killed crops. When released near animal herds, the animals got sick. The machines never touched Velthari people directly, but they destroyed everything that kept them alive. On the planet Vexor 3, an entire continent's food supply failed in 1 week. starvation spread. Riots began. The government fell, and still, no human soldiers showed their face. Admiral Selvig grew desperate. He sent his fleets to human space, hoping to draw them into battle. The human colonies were empty. The populations had evacuated months ago to hidden locations. The Velthari found only abandoned buildings and automated messages. "Where are you?" Selvig screamed at the empty planets. "Face us. Fight us like warriors." His communication panel activated. A human face appeared on screen. It was Admiral Kim Taeho. "Admiral Selvig," Kim Taeho said calmly. "I received your message, and come and fight." Selvig shouted, "Bring your fleet. Face us on the field of honor." "No," Selvig stared at him. "What?" I said, "No. We will not meet you in open battle. We will not give you the war you want. We will continue as we have been. Your people will starve. Your economy will collapse. Your allies will abandon you, and you will never see us coming. This is cowardice." Selvig roared. "This is not how war is fought." "You are right, Kim," Taeho said. "This is not war. War has rules. War has honor. What we are doing has neither. You wanted to teach humanity fear? Instead, you taught us something else. You taught us that the galaxy does not care about the weak. So we stopped being weak. We stopped playing by your rules. We became something new." He leaned forward. "We became your nightmare." The screen went dark. Selvig sat alone in his command center. Around him, reports continued to arrive. Another supply line destroyed. Another world in crisis. Another ally asking for peace with the humans. He realized something terrible. The Velthari had spent 10,000 years perfecting honorable warfare. They had never faced an enemy who refused to be honorable. They had never faced an enemy who fought to win at any cost. And now, for the first time in their long history, the Velthari did not know what to do. In the darkness of space, human ships moved unseen. Ghost squadrons prepared their next missions. Scientists designed new weapons. And everywhere, in every shadow, humanity watched and waited. The Ghost War had only begun. 2 years had passed since the Ghost War began. The Velthari Empire was dying. Ambassador Noji Hai sat in a conference room on a neutral space station. Across from her were representatives from the Torvani, one of the 6 species that made up the Velthari Empire. They were tired and afraid. "We cannot continue," the Torvani leader said. His name was Elder Moxis. "Our people are starving. Our factories have stopped. Our children ask when the nightmare will end. We joined the Velthari for protection, not for destruction." "No," Jihai nodded calmly. She had been having similar conversations for months. One by one, the species of the Velthari Empire were breaking away. "Earth offers you friendship," she said. "Leave the Empire. Sign a peace agreement with us. We will provide food, medicine, and trade. Your people will not suffer anymore." Elder Moxes lowered his head. "If we do this, the Velthari will call us traitors." "The Velthari can barely feed themselves," No Jihai replied. "In 6 months, they will have no fleet. In a year, they will have no economy. They cannot punish anyone. They are too busy trying to survive." The Torvani representatives looked at each other. Then Elder Moxes signed the agreement. 3 weeks later, the Torvani publicly announced their separation from the Velthari Empire. 2 other species followed within the month. Suddenly, the mighty empire of 6 species became an empire of 3. Then, too, Admiral Selvig watched his world collapse around him. His fleet still existed, but they had nothing to protect. His warriors still trained, but they had no enemy to fight. The humans had destroyed his empire without ever facing him in battle. He sent one final message to Earth. "Admiral Kim Taeho, I am requesting a formal meeting. We must discuss terms." The response came within hours. "Your request is received, but we will not discuss terms. We will deliver them." Before Selvig could respond, sensors detected something impossible. A massive fleet had appeared at the edge of the Valthros system. Valthros was the Velthari homeworld, the heart of their civilization. Selvik counted the ships. Then he counted again. He could not believe what he was seeing. There were over 2,000 human warships. They were massive, black, and covered with weapons. They were not designed for beauty or honor. They were designed for one purpose only: absolute destruction. Fleet Admiral Jang Kite commanded the Terran Armada from the bridge of the battleship Avalon's memory. He was an old soldier who had waited his entire life for this moment. "All ships, take position," he ordered calmly. "Surround the planet. Block all escape routes." The Velthari defense fleet scrambled to respond. They had 300 ships, the last of their great navy. They formed a defensive line and prepared to die with honor. Jung Kite did not attack them. Instead, his ships simply moved around them. The Velthari weapons could not track so many targets. The human fleet slipped past their defenses like water through fingers. Within 3 hours, Valthros was completely surrounded. Admiral Selvik opened communications with the human fleet. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded. "Why do you not attack?" Admiral Kim Taeho's face appeared on his screen. Behind him stood Secretary General Oh Seung-min and a woman Selvik did not recognize. "Admiral Selvik," Kim Taeho said, "we are not here to attack. We are here to end this, then fight us. Give us an honorable death." "No," Kim Taeho's voice was cold. "You do not deserve an honorable death. Your empire killed innocents and called it justice. Your people will not die as warriors. They will simply surrender." "Dr. Sutherin stepped forward." She was small and wore simple clothes, but Selvik sensed something dangerous about her. "Admiral Selvik," she said, "my name is Dr. Seo Theron. I am the creator of the Prometheus solution." She pressed a button. A new image appeared on Selvik's screen. It showed the Velthari sun burning bright in the darkness of space. Then the image changed. It showed calculations, diagrams, projections. "The Prometheus solution is a stellar disruption weapon," Dr. Seo Theron explained calmly. "It can destabilize a star, make it expand rapidly. Within 48 hours of activation, your sun would consume your entire home system. Valthros and everything on it would be gone." Selvik felt cold fear grip his heart. "You would not dare. This would be genocide. The galaxy would condemn you." Secretary General Oh Seung-min spoke for the first time. "The galaxy condemned us when you killed 812,000 of our people. No one helped us then. No one sent ships. No one offered justice. So we made our own justice." He looked directly at Selvik. "We will not use the weapon. We do not want to be monsters. But you needed to know that we could. You needed to understand what you awakened when you attacked Avalon 7. Kim Taeho leaned forward. "Your fleets are irrelevant. Your defenses are irrelevant. We are everywhere you are not looking. Surrender unconditionally, or watch your world burn. Not an honorable battle, but in the silence between stars." Selvik stood frozen. His officers waited for orders. His ships waited for commands. But what could he do? The humans had won without fighting. They had broken his empire without a single major battle. "What happened to you?" Selvik asked quietly. "What kind of species becomes this?" Kim Taeho's expression did not change. "You did. You made us this. Remember Avalon 7? We will forever." The communication ended. Selvik stood alone on his bridge. Outside, 2,000 human warships waited in perfect silence. They did not threaten. They did not demand. They simply existed, a wall of death surrounding everything he loved. He thought about the Accord of Blades. He thought about 10,000 years of honorable warfare. He thought about the pride of his people, their traditions, their glory. Then he thought about the children of Avalon 7, the farmers who had never held weapons, the families who had simply wanted to grow food under alien stars. For the first time in his life, Admiral Selvik understood something terrible. Honor meant nothing if it only protected the strong. Justice meant nothing if it only served the powerful. The Velthari had built their empire on rules that benefited themselves. Now those rules had destroyed them. He activated his communication system. "This is Admiral Selvik, to all Velthari forces. Stand down. Surrender to the Terran fleet. The war is over. He removed his ceremonial armor and set it on the floor. A single tear rolled down his gray face. The war is over, he repeated, and we have lost everything. Above Valthros, the human fleet remained silent. They had come with the power to destroy a world. Instead, they had simply waited until their enemy destroyed himself. The Velthari Empire, 10,000 years of history and conquest, ended not with a glorious battle, but with quiet surrender in the darkness of space. Humanity had answered the massacre, and the answer had been devastating. 10 years had passed since the Velthari surrender. The colony world of Avalon 7 was green again. New cities rose, where ashes had once covered the ground. Children played in parks built over old battlefields. Life had returned to the world that had once been a grave. At the center of the largest city stood a memorial. It was a simple wall of black stone, stretching for 3 kilometers. On its surface were carved 812,000 names, every person who had died in the massacre. People came from across the galaxy to see it. They walked along the wall in silence, reading names they had never known. Remembering lives that had been stolen, President Park Hannah stood before the wall on the 10th anniversary of the attack. She was older now, her black hair touched with gray, but her eyes were still sharp. She was no longer the frightened scientist hiding in an underground greenhouse. She was the leader of the Terran Republic, the most powerful government in known space. Beside her stood a strange figure, Admiral Selvik, former commander of the Velthari fleet. He was no longer a prisoner. After 5 years of captivity, he had been offered a choice: return to his people in disgrace, or stay and help humanity understand their former enemies. He had chosen to stay. I walk this wall every year, Selvik said quietly. I read the names. I try to imagine the faces. Why? Park Hannah asked. 'Cause I must never forget what my people did. What I allowed to happen by following orders without question. He looked at her. Your people could have destroyed Valthros. You had the weapon. You had the justification. Why did you spare us? Park Hannah was silent for a moment. Because we wanted to be different from you. You killed our innocence because you called us cowards. If we had killed your innocence in return, we would have become what we hated. She touched the wall gently, her fingers tracing a name. We are not angels. We did terrible things during the war. We poisoned your food. We broke your economy. We turned your allies against you. We used fear as a weapon. But we drew a line. We would hurt your civilization, but we would not erase it. Some would call that weakness, Selvik said. Some would, Park Hannah agreed. But those people do not understand humanity. We are capable of great darkness. We proved that during the Ghost War, but we are also capable of choosing when to stop. That is what separates justice from revenge. A young woman approached them. She wore a military cadet uniform and had bright, curious eyes. Her name was Odehi, granddaughter of the late Secretary General Oh Seung-min, who had passed away 3 years ago. President Park, she said respectfully, the ceremony is about to begin. Park Hannah nodded and walked toward the speaking platform. Millions of people watched, some in person, some through broadcasts that reached every corner of human space. Representatives from dozens of alien species were also present. Watching carefully, she stepped up to the microphone and looked out at the crowd. 10 years ago, I stood on this ground and watched my world burn. I saw children die. I saw families destroyed. I saw an empire murder innocents because we did not play their game of war. Her voice was steady, but filled with emotion. We answered that massacre. We fought back in ways the galaxy had never seen. We won. But today, I do not want to talk about victory. I want to talk about what comes next. She gestured to the wall behind her. These names are why we fight. Not for glory. Not for conquest. Not for honor or pride. We fight to protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is the lesson of Avalon 7. She turned to face the cameras directly. To every species watching this broadcast, I say this. Humanity offers friendship to all who seek it. We will trade with you. We will share knowledge with you. We will protect the weak among you. Our doors are always open. Her expression hardened. But know this as well. If you harm our innocent, if you attack those who cannot defend themselves, if you think our kindness makes us weak, we'll face something you cannot imagine. We will not declare war. We will not meet you on open fields. We will come in the night. We will strike from shadows. We will break your will, your economy, your spirit, your legacy. And when you beg for mercy, we will remember every soul you took from us. She paused. Mercy is earned. You will have to earn it. The crowd was silent. Then, slowly, they began to applaud. It was not the wild cheering of triumph. It was something deeper, a solemn recognition of what humanity had become. After the ceremony, President Parkana walked with Selvig and Cadet Odahi through the memorial gardens. Flowers bloomed everywhere, a sharp contrast to the names of the dead carved in stone. President Selvig said, I have spent 10 years trying to understand your species. I still do not fully succeed. What confuses you? You are not predators. You do not hunt for pleasure. You do not seek conquest. He shook his head. But you are not prey either. When we attacked you, I expected you to submit or die. I never expected this. Oh, he laughed softly. That is because you misunderstood us, Elder Selvig. He looked at her. Then explain it to me, young one. We are survivors, he said. Our world was harsh. Our history was filled with wars, diseases, natural disasters. We learned very early that the universe does not care about fairness. So we adapted. We became whatever we needed to be. She picked a flower and studied it. When someone offers us friendship, we are the kindest friends you could have. When someone threatens our family, we become something else. Something older and darker. Something that will do whatever it takes to protect what we love. Selvig nodded slowly. You are not warriors or victims. You are adapters. Exactly, President Parkana said. The Velthari mistake was thinking we had only one nature. You saw peaceful farmers and assumed we could not fight. But humans contain multitudes. We can build beautiful gardens and terrible weapons. We can write poetry and plan destruction. We can forgive enemies and destroy those who refuse redemption. She looked up at the stars beginning to appear in the evening sky. That is why the galaxy fears us now. Not because we are strong, others are stronger. Not because we are advanced, others have better technology. They fear us because they cannot predict us. They cannot fit us into their categories. We are dangerous precisely because we adapt. Selvig was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. My people spent 10,000 years believing we understood war. We had rules, codes, traditions. We thought we had mastered conflict. He turned to face both women. We were children playing games. You taught us what war really means when survival is at stake. Oh, Dahi met his eyes. We did not want to learn that lesson either, Elder Selvig. You forced us to remember what we had forgotten. That piece is precious because we know its price. Across the garden, children were playing, human children, Torvani children, even a few young Velthari whose families had immigrated after the surrender. They chased each other and laughed, unaware of the history beneath their feet. President Parkana watched them with a sad smile. This is what we fought for, she said. Not revenge, not glory. Just the chance for children to play in peace. The chance for families to live without fear. She turned to walk away, then stopped and looked back at Selvig. Tell your people something, old friend. Tell them that humanity does not want enemies. We want neighbors. We want friends. But if anyone ever forgets the lesson of Avalon 7, she did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. Above them, the stars shone bright and cold. Somewhere out there, new civilizations were rising, eager to explore the cosmos. They would hear stories about Earth, stories about kind humans who helped the weak and traded fairly, and other stories too. Whispered warnings passed from elder to youth: never wake the humans, never harm their children. They answered the massacre with fire and shadow, and the Velthari are a memory now. Dahi looked up at those stars and made a silent promise to the dead, to the living, to the generations yet to come. Humanity would remember. Humanity would protect. And if the darkness ever returned, humanity would answer once again. No more honorable battle. Only survival. Only justice. Only the endless, fierce love of a species that would do anything. To protect its own, that was humanity's gift to the universe. That was also its warning.